19. It's Tuesday, 9:32 p.m.
Putting time for you.
What brings you to Latvia? What are your impressions?
My impressions, my first 3 hours, the city center was quite impressive. Lots of churches, colorful churches, from different styles, I guess. I've got closer to the castle.
To the castle?
Maybe it was not the castle.
Did it look like a castle?
It depends on how a castle looks like for you.
Did it for you?
No. No, it did not.
So, some building in the old town. No.
Probably.
No.
It was rainy, quite dark grey.
Mm.
My first time in this trip that I had a dark grey day. It was pretty nice to have this side of experience as well.
You're welcome.
What else? And my curiosity brought me to here.
What?
Curiosity.
What?
Curiosity.
Ah, alright. You're eager to learn new things.
Yeah.
Alright. So what is your trip then?
This trip now.
From where to where?
Well, this time, as I told you just shortly, I quit my job 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I am from background psychologist.
Mm.
So I was working, and then I decided to have a cut. And I went to Malaysia, and I had to do some paper stuff done in Berlin, where I'm currently living. So I went to Berlin, and due to being curious about the unknown, I decided to go to Estonia first.
Alright.
Yeah, I had a really nice flight over there, and it was sunny in Estonia, so I decided to go to Estonia. And from there, I decided to come over after Finland. And now I come from Vilnius.
Wait, so now you're confusing me.
Yeah.
You went to Estonia, then to Finland,
Yeah,
and then to...
Kaunas, Vilnius, and
Wow.
I came here.
Alright.
Yeah,
What next?
Berlin,
Back.
to Berlin.
On what
I
next?
have big appointments. I have conferences. But next...
Wait, so you quit your job. You're free.
Yeah, but I have conferences as psychotherapist.
For what?
For psychotherapy.
You mean conferences as in publishing some papers?
No, I'm not going to publish. I'm going to listen to some topics about addiction to internet,
Don't they have
To
some
drugs.
videos on the internet about that? Why would you go to conferences?
to do some networking as well.
With who?
Those people who are going to speak on the conference.
Do you want to network with them?
Probably for the reason I'm going.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why would you like to meet and get to know those people?
To be closer to those and to see what other information probably I can get. I am not able to find on internet.
Just out of curiosity, aren't most of them pretty boring?
Are they?
I'm asking you.
No, they're not.
Are you sure?
I can tell you later after the conference how it went through. So
You've been to other conferences before that, right?
other conferences, of course. I've been
So, are those people just renegades doing some major breakthroughs?
What do you call this?
What?
Is brain, what did you say?
Breakthroughs.
Breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Why do you call them like this?
Well, I'm asking you whether or not they are the people who do some breakthrough stuff. Some major innovations.
I don't know if there are going to be major innovations, but right now, for example, we had an actualization in the classical diagnosis system we are using for, and there are 2 big ones, and now there is one to be changed soon, and they're going to speak more about the addiction to internet and all those stuff. So I'm interested in knowing from people in person or to be there present to understand a little bit more and ask further questions if I have.
Just my 2 cents. Why wouldn't you go to a marketing conference?
Why
'Cause
do
they're-
you call
'cause-
that marketing conference?
No, well, I mean, the field is called marketing, so how else would you call it?
Update?
What?
Update?
No. What I mean is, you are talking about a psychology conference, right?
Yes.
Right. I'm talking about a conference for marketers. You know, marketing, right? Selling. popularizing some things.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go rather to a marketing conference? Because I think it's exactly what you are looking for, but more entertaining.
Is it? Why do
Yeah.
you call it marketing conference? I don't understand this point.
No, the field of marketing, right? You know the concept of marketing, right? They do research, right? They publish papers, they have conferences, they do all these things, right? But they use the thing that the psychologists have and make it better. That's why they are in marketing, because let's say the ones who are good at psychology usually don't work in psychology. They work in fields where they use their knowledge of psychology, and it's usually either marketing or, well, I wouldn't say politics necessarily. I wouldn't say that, but something of that sort. Because in hierarchical systems, you can use it, right? But I would say marketing, in the 21st century at least, marketing is the way to go, right? So you say you will be listening to some presentations about changing diagnostic aspects of psychology, right? I'm guessing the marketers already have that 2 years ago.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, just
Okay, update
again,
that.
just my 2 cents, right? Have you ever been to other fields? I mean, when it comes to conferences or doing some research or I don't know, listening or reading books about other fields.
Sure.
So, what do you think? What are the closest fields of research besides psychology?
Why are you asking those questions?
So I'm
You're
interested.
confusing me.
So I'm interested.
Give me some examples.
Well, other than marketing, I would say sociology. And other than sociology, here's the tricky one. I would kind of guess pharmacology, believe it or not. Because look at it this way. Pharmacology has to use marketing, has to use psychology, and has to use medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all strong components for a great business.
Yeah, pharmacy is like this, yes.
Yeah.
Psychiatry,
Oh, there's a difference, right?
big difference.
So what is it?
The psychology, for example, the psychiatry, for example, is more if you it's based on the treatment of the disease. For example, when you have a disease,
Psychology or
yeah,
psychiatry? And what is psychoanalytics?
psychotherapy?
Also psychotherapy.
Let's clarify something.
All right.
Okay, there are people, for example, doctors in medicine who are studying their career of medicine, and afterward they can have another formation to become a psychiatrist. And there are those who studied physics and chemics as well. So they are those people who can give you pharmaceutical stuff.
Those are psychiatrists.
Exactly.
Psychiatrists,
And on the
alright.
other hand, you have psychotherapists.
So they
or
don't treat people; they just sell drugs to people.
I mean, there are some, they can be used as drugs, yes, but they're selling chemical stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, they're just drug dealers.
It's not exactly drugs what they're selling. There's a
Right,
couple
so,
of
but in English, you do call legal medicine drugs,
legal medicine drug. Well,
Yeah.
let's say it like this.
right?
And on the other hand, you have the psychotherapist and psychologist. Psychology is the basement of the behavior of human being,
Right.
and to understand all the connections on different levels of emotions and cognition. And on the other hand, you have another formation you can do as psychotherapist, and you can treat diseases based on, for example, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, or behavioral therapy.
So who's the top dog in
Freud.
all those three? No,
Oh.
I don't mean a person, but I mean the fields. So you have psychiatrics, you have psychology, you have psychotherapy.
Yeah. This
So-
is psychiatry, for example. This is medicine, psychiatry. This is psychology, psychotherapy.
Also, psychotherapy is above psychology.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because you have to understand, first of all, the psychology of human beings to do some psychotherapy stuff.
So would you like to be a psychotherapist?
I am psychotherapist
Oh.
as well. I got my extra formation. What I just finished in April.
All right. So you are already in the field of psychology at this level.
Yeah.
And you are not interested in that selling drugs level.
No.
Why?
Because my
You could do that, right? Or no?
I cannot.
Because you have the chemical education.
Exactly. I didn't study medicine.
Oh,
Exactly.
it's weird, isn't it?
Why?
Because in a way you are related to the field, right? It's not like you wouldn't be totally capable of distinguishing something useful.
I mean, the point of view is different, of course. I mean, it's like if you see a house, you have a different point of view. I have a different point of view, and an architect as well. This is how we see behavior as well. If someone comes to me with a typical, with a
Your
specific type of behavior, for example, one psychotherapist would say something and treat differently than a psychiatrist, for example.
your pure point of view is more related to a person's problem.
Helping them to solve their basements as well.
What's a basement?
For example, let's go for depression. Lots of people have an idea about depression. And if you go to a psychiatrist, for example, and you will tell about your symptoms, he will probably say, okay, this is depression, I'm going to give you these pills and everything's fine.
That's what I wanted to say, that he can just get some drugs.
It's not drug. There are some pills, of course, they're killers, for example.
Do you mean with drugs that are some illegal substances? What I mean by drugs is just medical or let's call it psychoactive substances.
But they're different substances.
Whether legal or illegal doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does or it doesn't?
It does not.
It doesn't. Right.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't matter. But there, of course, I am relating with, for example, when you say drugs, I would think, okay, you're talking about some pills who are getting you addicted.
Maybe.
Exactly. There's those as well, of course.
And that's
but there are others as well.
And that's afterwards a problem for the psychotherapist to deal with, right?
No.
No, because I had one problem. I took some pills. They got rid of the problem, but they created another psychological problem. So
Maybe.
now I have to come from the psychiatrist, right, to the psychotherapist, because the drugs sort of got me into another problem. It's a good business, right?
Well,
you
for
always
example,
get the people hooked.
But let's say, okay, you have the depression, and the psychiatrist would treat it in a different way, and psychotherapist as well.
The same?
My
you mean
point
the same
of view,
problem?
Yeah, the same problem. My main purpose would be, first of all, to see what the kind of symptoms are, what we can do together, and let the patient decide which way this person wants to go. I can tell this way, this way, this way. You have to treat the symptoms, for example.
Is he even able to do that? Does he have the capability of actually making the best choice? Because look at it this way, he's there for a reason, and the reason is because he's not able to actually get a grip of himself in a way.
It depends on how severe the symptoms are, exactly. But if there are symptoms that are so severe, we can think about different types of ways as well. So I can try to guide this person. It doesn't have to be psychiatry, first of all.
You don't like? It seems like you don't like psychiatry.
Because I'm psychotherapist.
But do you have a rivalry?
No, I believe that there are other ways as well to treat this disease or the symptoms.
Is it like sort of the field of traditional medicine and homeotherapy?
Alternative medicine.
Yeah, alternative medicine. Is it something like that? Similar?
Can be.
So the psychiatrists make fun of psychotherapists,
We're
as the traditional medical personnel make fun of homeotherapists.
We're not best friends. Yes.
Ah.
So a psychiatrist is not a psychotherapist, and lots of people they get confused. What is who's who?
It is a bit confusing.
Words are confusing as well. It's true.
Wouldn't you say that the biggest problems are not really depression or particular symptoms, but the causes? Because you probably could actually eradicate the causes, right? And nobody would have the symptoms.
I would say. Well, it depends like on the symptoms. If someone comes to me or would listen to the symptoms, and then we would think, okay, how severe are the symptoms and what might be the causes. But for example, if there's so many anxious people around who are not able to leave the house, for example, that would be really severe symptom. And
You
in
mean
this
you mean
case,
anxious in the sense that they are afraid of other people?
one reason why they're not leaving.
So
their
what would be a
houses.
cause for that?
This is
Bad experiences?
maybe this is like where I am going with the patient to explore the causes. But there is no one receipt like I can say you are this and this and this are all the causes or might be the causes. So let's see which one is yours.
Yeah,
No,
that's-
it's like let's see together what might be the function of this disease.
You mean the function as in what is the mechanism why it's there?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Because there is a reason why it's, and what do you think is the reason? What is the function?
In that case, shouldn't you be a hypnotist?
Hypnotists are doing
Yeah.
like chick, 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 and then you're falling somewhere, and then you're.
No,
falling.
that's the cartoon version of hypnotism. But I
What
think
is your version?
modern hypnotism is basically that to actually allow some people to get past their irrational fears, behaviors, just because they have, let's say, something that was, I don't know, happening in, let's say, kindergarten or, I don't know, school, right? And it sort of spiraled into some form of behavior or some form of routine, right? That 15, 20 years later, it's hard to change that just by willpower, right? So the hypnotist, I think the best description about hypnotism was it's just a powerful suggestion. And in a sense, I don't know how it works. I just remember seeing a podcast actually where the dude said that hypnotism is basically you invoke the interest in the person to actually change himself, but not as in on an outside force, but sort of like an auto suggestion. So you discuss with him, right? You have some sort of formula how you approach a certain thing, but then the person actually gets the urge to actually I will, right? It's sort of like programming. You just reprogram in his brain, right? He feels empowered, and he has actually the urge to change whatever was bugging him. And so it's not hypnotism as in now you will be my slave, right? It's basically just you over. I think that the way he described it was a natural brain or natural mind has several layers. If you want to approach a problem or irrational behavior of a person sort of straight on, you would actually peel off each and every layer, which would take time maybe, and sometimes it's even too late to actually take all the layers away. But what hypnotism allows you to actually sort of get past that and then suggest to the person to actually eradicate the layers from inside, right? And so it sort of becomes, you come to me, you have a sort of well, not let's say problem, but you have an issue, right? And I sort of backhanded give you the tools that you can actually, you don't feel that that's an issue for you anymore. It's just that, why didn't I think of that before then? Why didn't I actually? And so you basically, you are gone. At least the problem for you is not there anymore, right? So why wouldn't you be a hypnotist?
This, for example, what you just explained to me is cognitive behavioral therapy.
So you are a hypnotist.
So I'm cognitive behavioral therapist. I don't know. I wouldn't equalize it as a hypnotist, but I cannot tell you even more about hypnotism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there, I'm lacking information about hypnotism.
Because it might be the case that hypnotists are just psychotherapist hobbyists.
They're basically
Maybe they're just a
educated
run.
in psychology. Actually, you have to have first. Well, it's like it's in Germany at least like this where I got my education. So you have to be psychologist, and afterwards you can do your specialization in terms of psychotherapy.
What's the other specializations?
You can do psychoanalysis, for example. You can do behavioral therapy. You can do hypnotism. So as psychologists, you can do different kinds of branches of treatment. We're talking about
Wait a second,
treatment.
but you are saying basically that once you get your psychology education, you can branch out in different fields where the main goal is to actually just help people with their problems?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you have just one field?
I have cognitive behavioral therapy.
No, I mean, why would you have several fields to choose? Why wouldn't it just be one for everybody? Everybody would be a cognitive behavioral therapist, for instance.
Yeah, because there, for example, psychoanalysis, they're going deeper into your childhood and about other issues as well. They might play an important role.
It sounds like pseudoscience at that point. It sounds like pseudoscience at that point.
Well, why do you say pseudoscience?
Well, because I don't know. Maybe it's because I read the science. Do you know Scientology?
What do they do?
But you know Tom Cruise, right? The actor.
Yeah.
Right. His religion is called Scientology, right? It was invented, I think it was in the 1950s, 1960s, by a science fiction author. Before he founded Scientology, the Church of Scientology, he was a sort of a failed science fiction writer. He had written, I guess, more than 2,000 books, but purely science fiction, right? And he has a quote: "If you want to make lots of money, create a religion," right? At least that's the quote he's being attributed to. So he actually did that. He actually created a religion called Church of Scientology, and so they have two things to them. One, that I think the universe was created by some type of alien or aliens who come to visit, and the second one was that all or most problems are related to them. They had a specific word for that even, but the point was that the most problems, either physical or intellectual or social, are created in the mind, right? And so one of their biggest tendencies is that you have to focus on your they have a mental clearing protocol, or cleaning, right? The process cleaning. So because the way they do it is sort of I forget the specific word, but the basic idea was like you said, maybe something happened in your childhood that sort of left an imprint in your mind which affected your behavior in the future, right? So they at first, when you come to the Church of Scientology, they do an audit. They sort of diagnose you, and so when they diagnose, they maybe will find out that you might have some, I don't know, traumatic experiences in your childhood, right? So we need to get rid of them, and the process is called going clear. They clear your mind, right? They clear your mind. And then once they have done that, once you are clear, right, now you can actually develop your full potential as a human being. That's their sort of philosophy. And of course, by the way, you have to pay quite a lot of money in general, right? You have to, and so that's one of the biggest not really arguments against it, but it's still because they combine some useful things, which would be probably self-help and starting to actually question your own beliefs and actions, right? With an nonsensical, sort of nonsensical. I mean, they literally said that you have, I don't know how many levels of what's it called, the energy levels or something like that.
Maybe.
Right? Yeah. Well, anyway, the whole point is that even these things come to a sort of religious aspect, right? And people use them. So why I say the pseudoscience is because there is a point where you cannot actually distinguish whether or not something happened because something was done to a child or to a teenager, right? It's just a guess. At some point, it's just a guess, right?
Maybe there are issues you can still remember.
Oh, right. So the reason why I mentioned Scientology, because they believe that the person is remembering unconsciously, remembering even things while the person was a child in the mother's womb.
It goes so back. Wow. Good luck for them.
See, but they believe it's up to that point, right? I think psychoanalysts don't believe to that point, right?
Probably.
But they would probably go to at least childhood, right?
Yes.
So how would it be actually? What's the proper word? Empirical? How can you actually prove it? It's not really possible, is it?
What exactly?
The fact, well, if you say the psychoanalysis goes deeper,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Goes further back in time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it gets more.
Digging.
No, but you cannot. A person doesn't remember accurately.
We can guess.
Yeah, it's a guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you? That's why I said it sounds like a pseudoscience. You know what I mean? It's not really science.
But you
Something you can prove, replicate.
You have
you know?
both sides, I guess. I
What
mean,
do you
in
mean?
psychology, for example, let's talk about the functions of disease, whatever. So you have stuff they might be proved, for example, yeah.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you can suggest all the time. But the idea is to get to your point of view, to bring more ideas, more different views, point of views.
What's good of point of view is you just want proof. You want evidence.
Why?
Why not? That's the point of
You're
research.
a lawyer, of course. You're gonna.
No, but that's
want
the
any-
point of research,
But
right?
I'm a psychologist. I don't want any evidence. I just want
Damn,
the
that's
people to help.
that. I think that's a slippery line. In psychology, I don't want any evidence.
Maybe sometimes there are evidences, and you know what the stuffs are based on, in the part.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, you guess.
but you have to act on that guess, right?
But you can have different guesses.
But not infinite.
Doesn't matter.
Why?
But
Wait a
you're
second.
gonna.
Is it meant to be just for fun, or is it meant to be to actually discuss a real individual's issues?
What?
The psychoanalysis thing. Is it meant to help somebody, or is
I
it
mean, it's like as
is
well
it just
inside-
yeah, we can do it because we can do it?
No, it's like in behavioral therapy as well. You can guess about the functions of your symptoms, and maybe you have some stuff there. You have a proof on it.
Can you
But
give me
it's
an
like-
example? What do you mean by functions of your symptoms?
Hmm.
You have had patients, right? I'm guessing.
I'm thinking about one of my patients.
So
I'm getting. I got focused until 21 years old, for example. So I was working a lot with youth people, and now, for example,
what kind of problems do they have? I mean, a 21-year-old. Come on.
what
come
yes, what kind of problems?
I don't consider drugs a problem, to be honest. I don't. If somebody is a heroin user, for instance, I don't consider it a problem. Sorry. 21, you don't know anything about life. Yeah, the only thing you might have had is bad parenting. That's
Maybe.
it. That's it.
But in those ages, for example, I've had a couple of patients suffering a lot anxiety. In this case, for example, talking about my main case, I had it was a girl of 17 years old when she got the first time when she came to me, and she was like anxious about being alone outside. She was suffering panic attacks. So like when you have the feeling I cannot really breathe and I'm gonna die in a second, but you don't really have physical proofs for it.
Can I ask you, how
course.
much do you in that process when you hear that stuff? How much do you how much do you find out about their nutrition? You know what I mean?
Just few stuff. But yeah, it might be a bigger issue as well in those.
Because
Last time I had like a nice conversation with someone and was getting really focused on nutrition. And yeah, this is something I should in my further work consider a little bit more. Yes.
Because I've when you say that oh, the girl had panic attacks, I would guess low blood sugar.
You can guess, and then in this case, for example, before doing psychotherapy, they always have to go for a blood test, always, to see that all the values are in order,
Range.
in the range. So in case that is in range, but they're still suffering, they're coming to psychotherapy.
So is
You have to exclude physical explanations before you do a psychotherapy.
Is the test done while she's having an attack or while she's calm? Because if she's calm, she wouldn't have the physical.
What might be the difference in case that she
Well,
would have the?
She's definitely not panicking 24/7, right?
I'm happy she's not.
Yeah, but you should actually take the test when she's panicking. That would be the ideal, because then it would be a definite reflection on their physiological status at the point of the attack, right?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because if your body is not working, I guess.
Yeah, because hormones would be elevated only in that particular scenario.
Okay, let's guess that she had values out of the average. What might be the difference afterwards? So what I do with this information?
Well, no, you can just ask more particular questions. So
No.
what is your daily routine?
So it's not going to be my field. It's a psychotherapy issue.
Wait a second. But
Because-
you are psychotherapy.
Exactly, but if she has some symptoms explained by values that are out of average, for example, this might be medical issues of mine.
They are definitely physical issues.
Yeah, so it's not my field, right?
Not your field.
It's not my field, no.
Damn, then it's really complicated for you, because I'm pretty sure quite a lot of people who have psychological issues could actually, if not totally eradicate, but definitely mitigate many of them by changing their diet.
Have you ever had panic attacks?
Yeah, well, that's a tricky one. I mean, I have had uncomfortable situations, that's for sure.
Panic attack?
See, what is a panic attack? Is your palms sweaty? Maybe.
You're feeling like you have your heart is beating really fast. You think, okay, maybe I cannot breathe. You feel like something is blocked here. And some people think, okay, I gotta have a cardiac attack.
Then there are people who don't work out.
But if you go to doctor,
Right.
for example, they're gonna check all your values. They're gonna say, your body has nothing.
Are the most of the people out of shape?
What do you mean?
That they don't work out?
I don't get your point.
I think somebody who would be working out regularly wouldn't have that issue.
Which issue?
About that, do you feel your what did you say that start creeping?
Exactly.
Yeah, and having the chest pain.
Yeah.
I don't think you have that once you start running at least 3 kilometers. What I mean is that maybe it's just when you have I wouldn't say untrained, if you don't have a conditioned body for physical for physical challenges, every sort of little misstep in your everyday life could actually create too big of a impact for you. But if you would be physically resilient, I mean, if you would work out, I don't know, let's say 20 minutes every other day, right? You would run, you would do some push-ups. I think once your body physically is a bit stronger, your well-being gets along, simply because you change your hormone profile, you change your biology in a sense, right? And if you are let's say a couch potato, right, and then you have a uncomfortable situation, your body is not ready for that type of stress. It's not prepared, right? So it overreacts. That would be my guess.
But where are you going to see all those overreaction in one stuff or one panic attack?
Well, you could actually ask the people whether or not they are working out, right? That would be professional enough, right?
I mean, they
It's
can
not. It's
have,
not like you would violate some ethics code by asking, "Do you work out? What kind of exercises do you do?" Right? And then you would probably see some. I would guess that 80% of the problems are created by 20% of the daily routines or some patterns, right? I would guess so. Simply because I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine somebody who's being physically active having these type of panic attacks.
But this person, for example, wouldn't come after the first panic attack to psychotherapy.
No, what I mean is that maybe the panic attack is more or less a symptom of the body being not resilient, physically resilient. Can you imagine if somebody comes to you and says, "Well, I have a panic attack. Once I feel something creeping up my arm, and maybe it's like my chest will be exploding or something, right?" And
how do you explain your panic attack?
And it turns
this
out
is going to be my question, though.
Oh well, the trigger is probably something out in the outer world, right? It's not in your head. It's something that sort of frightens you, right? But the thing, what I mean is, something in the world frightens you, right? What do you do about it? You get more accustomed with that feeling, and you make your body more prepared for that uncomfortable feeling to more easily overcome it, right? I would guess the solution is not to back off the uncomfortable situation. That would be probably counterintuitive. So, what do you suggest to that person who has a panic attack? Do you suggest them to work out and eat more salad?
I would ask this person, how do you explain? Okay, physical. I mean, I would try to guess, I would try to understand the point of view, how the patient is going to explain this panic attack and what kind of situation. Exactly, yeah. I'm not giving any explanations at first.
Right.
I can give about I don't give any explanations. I would I would make the patient or the client to think about why the panic attack came as well, and then look after as well. Okay, what about your body? What do you do usually? And then try to understand how flexible this person is mentally.
So do you can you let's say what did you do with your last panic attack patient? What was the
this
process?
Girl, let's go back to the girl. Yeah, this girl came, for example, that she was afraid of going out alone. She had panic attacks. She cannot drive alone. And
wait a second, she has panic attacks while she's out, but she's not having them while she's together with someone?
Exactly. This is the way to explore in which situation does this panic attack come. For example, are there exceptions that the panic attacks don't come? So understand a little bit more the situation, and then try to ask, okay, well, how do you explain your panic attacks? And
so that's your first question. You ask the person.
No, I try to explore more about the panic attack. How does it feel, for example? How do you know that's a panic attack? Sometimes people come and say, I have depression. What do you mean by depression, for example? What are the symptoms for you for this panic attack? How do you feel this? How do you feel? In which part of the body you feel it, for example? I try to understand the symptom on emotional level. How do you feel it? Physical level, where do you feel it? And cognitive as well. So what do you think? What kind of thoughts are coming up to your mind? For example, if she comes, and then I felt like my heart was beating. What did you think about it? I'm gonna have a heart disease. Okay, they're gonna try to understand their circle of vicious circle. And trying to explore it a bit more, maybe give names. Okay, what are typical thoughts coming, emotions coming, and physical symptoms.
So what did the girl say?
This girl, I'm gonna have a heart disease, I'm gonna die, and everything is going to over, and I'm going to be alone, and all, she had different stuff. It was a therapy of 2 years, so there are like lots of issues happened,
So you-
then at the end it was a guess as well. She was turning 18. She had expectations on herself
Mhm.
of being 18 and being independent out of her family's place and to do her own stuff. Lots of youth, for example, they have huge difference of being independent, not being with the parents anymore, not to take responsibility, I think. So this girl was kind of, okay, I'm going to turn 18, I have more responsibility for me, I can sign for myself and all those stuff. She was struggling a lot with those topics as well.
Mhm.
So they were kind of, I have a good excuse not to go out alone because I have anxiety, I suffer anxiety. So there's always, someone has to be always with me.
Did you figure out when the panic attacks started?
When it started,
Yeah.
of course,
So for her, was it fairly recently?
when she came to mine, she came in September and it started like in June. It started kind of June.
So it was shortly before her 18th birthday.
And she turned 18 in November exactly.
So
Was kind
sort of 5 months ahead of time.
There are aspects you have to take into account, these aspects as well, and what kind of what part of the life this person is now going, and what kind of school is going, what are
Mhm.
the expectations I have for myself, for example, what does it mean for me being 80, turning 18, for example. There are topics you have to take into account as well.
So what was the solution for her? Was there any solution?
She was at the end. She got like more ideas about. I think I'm not ready to take more responsibility for myself.
Mhm.
And somehow, turning 18 or turning 19, it does mean a lot for me to do a lot alone. But I'm not ready for this. And on the other side, I think, and we suggested that her mother, she was kind of not feeling well, and she was alone a lot, and her father was out working a lot.
Mhm.
So in this case, probably, I don't know, it was a question, might be correct or not, just a suggestion. Maybe I'm going to be bad daughter if I leave my mother home alone and I do my life outside.
Wait a second. Are you saying that she felt sort of guilty?
Kind of as well. Might
So
be
what was the-
suggestion?
So what was the solution then, or resolution?
Naming stuff as well, thinking about different point of views, and first of all, of course, treating the symptoms in typical behavioral stuff as well. Okay, because in behavioral therapy we are this what we were not talking about was like the second part of the therapy, but first part is she was suffering a lot, and so
I mean,
we
physically?
were. No, she was suffering because she was really anxious about going alone and trying stuff. On the one hand, she wanted, but on the other hand, she was really afraid of it. So it was like identifying situation, what she can really face. And my job was to coach her, kind of, to give her tools to go towards those situations she was afraid of. For us, it's some situation we say, oh yeah, of course, this is for obvious that I'm going to do it, but for her, it was not obvious. Leave home alone, for example, driving alone. It was not obvious. So first of all, helping her to get back a little bit more of self-esteem and self-consciousness, and trying to identify situation those were.
So who is to blame for that situation? The mother?
We're not going to blame anybody.
Why not?
Why should we?
Why not?
You are as a lawyer, of course, you would blame.
No, I mean, what is the
I don't look for proofs.
what
I
is
don't blame.
what is the real cause, right? If it's somebody else, you should be able to point fingers. Let's be honest. It's not like you could go back in time and reverse it. No, but you can actually show. Look what you did. You have to understand that it's not the way to go, because maybe the mother will have another daughter, right? She shouldn't do that with the second one.
No, she won't have any daughter.
Hmm?
She won't have more daughters.
Want it?
She won't have.
Ah, because you took care of it.
No, because
what?
she's too old.
Ah, so did you talk to the mother?
Of course.
Ah, And did you say it's because of you?
No, I did not say like
No?
this. No.
Would you say it?
I would not
if
say
you know,
that
if you know for sure.
directly. I would, but how do you know this for sure?
Well, let's say she came to your office drunk and swearing. You probably can guess. All right, this bitch is crazy, right? Right?
I can help the mother to understand better the situation where her daughter is, yes,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of functions the symptoms have, and suggest with her. Then think, okay, what would help her to get towards her aim? To help the mother to understand where she is, daughter is, in what kind of stage of her life she is, and how she can get help for her.
What is the
Helping the disease, I have to distinguish as the mother as well. Am I going to help the symptoms of the disease, or am I going to work against the symptoms? To identify
Against?
with those,
What do you mean against?
for example, in those situations that she was afraid of, the mother would say, "Yeah, don't go. Something can happen."
All
So,
right. Oh, so you
is
suggested
helpful
no,
for
don't
you?
listen to your mother.
No, what is helpful from point of the mother? What is helpful for to? How can she deal with her daughter? What kind of behavior is helpful,
Mm-hmm.
and which one is not helpful?
It was because of the mother, right?
Not because of the mother. She has an influence, yes, but I cannot say it's because of the mother.
Do you mean
It's not in it's
it
law
would have-
like this is not correct and this is correct. It's difficult to say this. Of course, she had an influence,
Yeah.
but she was not to be blamed for.
Nobody was.
Of course not.
That's just.
You're a lawyer,
It's
of
not-
course
it's
you
not-
wouldn't
But
say
it, but
there's
how?
no
but,
one.
but how can
blame.
how can it be satisfying to you, as somebody who could actually help people better their lives, sort of, right? Because your aim is actually to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So how can it be satisfying if you cannot name the things with their proper names?
But you're telling the things. This is plural and this is important. And I am helping them to name things, not that thing. What is to be blamed? I'm not blaming.
It still sounds strange.
It does, of course.
Because you definitely would have sometimes people coming to you where you can just see, all right, if you wouldn't live with that person, if you wouldn't encounter this situation, you'll be fine. That's it. Give me €1,000 and get lost.
But on the other hand, I would say, okay, imagine there's one person. Yeah, the mother had like a bad influence or not helpful influence on this girl, but she had no enough strategies to cope this problem neither.
But she didn't know that that's a problem, right? She didn't view it as a problem.
You think that the mom gave her the idea that is a problem?
No.
No.
I mean, the mother didn't perceive that to be a problem, right? That she's fearing to go outside. The mother wanted her to not go outside.
One guess. It was a guess.
Didn't she say to you?
No.
I thought she said that.
No, she did not.
Ah,
It was a guess.
but did you ask her?
The mom?
Yeah. Did you do this? Did you suggest not to go out?
Law is not psychology.
No. What I mean is, you are sort of an explorer when you talk to your patients, right?
Yeah,
It's about exploring.
exactly.
So as an explorer, you have no boundaries. You just you just go where your eyes lead you. So
And I want
you
them
don't
to
stop.
come back.
You don't stop.
And I want them to come back. So first of all, let
No,
me get
you
a little
come
bit more-
back. They
They have to come back. I'm not going to them.
yeah
They're going to come to me.
yeah.
This is the idea of psychotherapy. If you want something, so you come.
How
If
do
you
they
don't want
decide
something-
to actually come?
Huh?
How do they decide that they should go to psychotherapy?
They went first of all to another place to talk about the symptoms, and then the doctor. It was an interesting psychiatrist. He was not that focused on medicine.
Hmm?
He was getting formed in psychotherapy as well. So a couple of psychiatrists
I
have the
would guess.
option.
I would guess the girl just didn't have good enough insurance.
No, in Germany, the public insurance is going to cover everything for you.
Yeah, but the private insurance is where the money is at.
No, it's not like this.
It is.
No, in Germany, for example, you have access to all those stuff. So if you go to
No,
a
I get it.
psychiatrist and you say,
I get it,
I
but
need
still,
this.
but still, most people would like to have the private insurance policy
For
health,
health.
for healthcare. It's the same almost everywhere in Europe. Yes, there are states who have statewide health insurance, health services, and yet still the paid ones, the private ones, are better, faster, right? So people who have the means, they choose to
They're
actually.
faster, it's true, but it's not better. For example, if someone comes to me in
You represent
psychotherapy,
No, you don't represent any of them, right?
if
You work with both.
I have the option to work with those and
Yeah.
charge the same.
Yeah.
So it's faster if you're a private one, for
Hmm.
example, it's faster. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it depends in terms of. I think psychotherapy is a little bit more. If I have no capacity to get more patients, so I cannot get any more. You know, it's like in psychotherapy. If I'm full, I'm full. I cannot do anything. Sorry, even if you're private.
Shouldn't you just charge a bit more?
No, but if I don't have any other available schedule where I'm going to
Well,
put the patient.
Let's say let's say a typical day for you has 10 slots, for instance, right? 10 slots.
Too much.
Well, 5 slots.
It's good.
All right. So you have 5 slots. You say, I'll take the first 3 for, I don't know, let's say 200 euros per hour. But the last 2 I will take for 200 euros or 300 euros per hour. There you have it. You
Right.
just charge more for
Then
your
the
hour.
insurance is going to tell me why you're charging them for more.
Because the slots were fewer.
Then I have to give up, and then I give the patient the bill, and they are giving it to the private insurance. They're going to ask me why are you charging them too much.
But is it not allowed?
You have defined codes you can use for psychotherapy.
So you don't
It's
have
the same.
So you don't have
same.
the option to just raise your fees at will.
No, why should I?
Oh, damn. Because if you help people and if it's useful what you do, you should be able to actually decide, no, now I'm doubling my prices. Get over it.
Why should I if I decide to help people?
Well, look, if you would like to help people, do it for free.
I have
Do
to
it for
live
free.
somewhere. If I get a house for free.
Oh, now you have to live somewhere. Now you have to
If I get
see.
a house for free,
See,
I can do a couple of them for free.
yeah, and if you don't
But
have
the
a house
insurance
for free,
has the money to pay, so they pay.
yeah,
Public insurance in Germany, you know how much people pay per month?
No.
Public insurance, 350 euros per month. So let the insurance pay a little bit more. So in Germany, you have the obligation to
a
have
month, in a month or a year.
month. In Germany, you have the obligation to have at least a public insurance. Everybody living in Germany has to have a public insurance.
Who has a wage, right?
This is like obligation.
Who has a wage, right? A salary.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's like taxes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're unemployed, if you're a student. Everybody has to have this one public insurance.
All right.
And if you decide not to take the public insurance and not paying these 350 euros per month, you can choose the private insurance.
Mhm.
And there you pay monthly a little bit less. But anytime you go to the doctor, of course, you pay first, and then hopefully the private insurance is going to give you back the money. And most of the times you have to cover a part by yourself. And then the public insurance, you don't have this covering part by yourself. For that reason, the public
Sounds like a bad deal.
most of the people, they like working with the public insurance because they just have their chip card.
Hmm.
You put it into the system, that's done.
But imagine you will have to pay 350 euros and maybe you don't even never need it. You don't go to the doctor. You don't need to go to the doctor.
Bad for you.
No,
I mean, you can use
no,
it, of
it's
course.
because it's like a suggestion for people to get sick, just because they are already paying it. So
But if you're employed, for example, your company is paying the half of it, and you're paying the other half. Even as student, you have to pay everything. Well, students, for example, we had like a reduced price where you had to pay the half.
oh, by the way, since you're from Turkey,
Yeah. Are you done with the
Would that-
psychology questions?
I don't know.
We are jumping
We'll
a
see.
lot. To
I don't know. We'll see. You are from Turkey. How is it? Would it be possible for you to actually work in Turkey
in this,
in your field?
it might be. It might be possible. I have to charge in private there. I can do probably different prices
Yeah.
because they are the public the public
Because
health.
I cannot imagine a Turkish citizen going to psychotherapy.
Why not?
I think they would just go to their grandmother or something like that.
It's a challenge.
It's a different culture,
Yes, it is.
and probably they don't even use the word depression, right?
Probably they
It's just
don't.
it's just a bad day, right?
I hope it is like this.
What's your opinion? Don't you think that it's more related to the fact that the Western society becomes more, what's the right word? More sensitive, too fragile, in some ways. Have you seen the movie Fight Club?
Mm-mm.
It's about it's a 1999 movie with Ed Norton and Brad Pitt, and you know Brad Pitt, right?
Maybe Turkish people are more afraid of what people are going to. I mean, it's like stigma. I am crazy if I go to a psychologist or psychotherapist or something beginning with psych. It might be psychiatrist, whatever.
Maybe
And
that might
they're
be
more
yeah.
afraid about. It's like the image of the society. About what do they think if I go to, because in the Eastern it's like it's a collectivistic culture, so the society is in the main attention.
All I know
We're not
about
the main attention.
all I know about Turkey is it's a mustache culture. Lots of dudes have mustaches.
Some of them. Have you ever
Think-
seen a Turkish dude
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Well, maybe not the new generation. I don't know. But I would say everybody above, I don't know, 35 has some.
Wisdom.
Hmm?
I don't know. Style. I don't know. But talking about the collectivistic culture might be like, okay, I'm afraid of what the society is going to say about me because the society gets lots of attention.
Hmm?
Or maybe it's not about taking care that much of myself, me as an individual.
Hmm?
Because in the Western cultures, of course, there are individualistic cultures. So all about you and your beliefs and what are your aims, what are your needs and whatever. But in collectivistic cultures, it doesn't matter. So maybe there, for example, people are not that focused on themselves.
Don't you think everybody is focused on themselves?
Maybe they're not that much focused on themselves. Not taking it as an important issue. It's bad day for some. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say what I actually meant was, yes, there's definitely a part of a stigma, but the other part would be that, let's say a woman has some issues, she would just probably go to her friends,
it depends
all
on
family,
the symptoms,
right?
how severe.
Because usually those people who are there any people who are depressed and they don't have anybody to talk to? Does that happen?
What does depressed mean? What does it mean? There we are.
That's a Western concept, right?
What is depressed?
Do Asian countries even recognize the word depressed?
I don't know.
Yeah. Because I think
I cannot tell. I don't know.
if you ask me what
Clueless.
would be depressed,
Mhm.
somebody who wants to do so well, who actually take their own life, for instance, right?
Probably those who are in a huge depression and they have no solution. They're in the end stage. They are in a severe stage of depression.
And see,
Those are.
and that's when would look at them and say, "You're not working out. Go to a gym. Work out for an hour. Do some exercises."
This one might
That's
be, for
about it.
example, one point
That's
of
it.
the treatment of depression in behavioral psychotherapy. What you're saying, go to the gym. And how can I, what kind of tools can I give this person to actually go to the gym and do this? To get activated, because this is good against the symptoms.
And
No,
then,
this is like a tool of behavioral psychotherapy.
and then the psychiatrist comes in because you could
I
get
hope he doesn't come in.
from him some amphetamine, give it to the person, he would be really energized, and go to the gym.
No, he won't get this.
Case closed.
No.
No, when
It
they
doesn't
would
work
take
like this so
when they
fast.
would when they take speed, they will definitely be interested in doing some exercises.
But a depressed person, you cannot give speed,
Why?
because he can kill himself exactly for that. Because there's some
What?
pills they're against. No, it doesn't. No, now there are different kind
There
of
is.
pills you use for different kind of.
All right. But let's be
Diseases.
honest. There is legal amphetamine available, right?
Yeah, for some
Yeah.
diseases. Yes.
So why for some diseases? What's the point of having?
For example, if I
amphetamine-
tell the public insurance or the insurance, because you have to, as a psychiatrist, you have to justify why you're giving this person this kind of medicine.
And he'd say, well, just because this medicine will get him to the gym.
He had to get, for example, no, if he gets, in case of speed, for example, if I give, if the psychiatrist gives speed to one person, he has to have an accurate diagnosis for the speed.
Yeah, he
But
has
this can
gym
be-
deficiency.
But if someone sees that this is not, this was not a, there was like a mistake in his profession, so probably he will lose his title as psychiatrist. So
Or
you
maybe,
won't
or
do
maybe get a
this.
medal because he saved a life.
Russian roulette,
Yeah, maybe.
or maybe you lose your job. I don't know.
Well, he could look at it this way. He could actually transition to being an illegal drug dealer.
He could 1%, not 1% the number, but is a percentage, and the other percentage. Your sleeping time.
Sort of, yeah. But we haven't talked about India yet. So what can you say about it?
Are you done with
You've
those
traveled.
part of?
I don't know.
of
We'll see.
question? Gesture.
Do you want to compartmentalize?
On one hand, on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit expressive. Huh?
So
It's done. Sorry, it's done.
what would happen if you would return back?
What?
Aha. All right. Yeah. You can do that if you want. Sure. But yeah, what can you say about India?
India, huge country, so many people. I've experienced. My best friend, she's part Indian, and she
And
was
part
doing
of what?
German.
Then she's just German, probably. She doesn't speak Indian, right?
No, she's German Indian.
Yeah, she's just a little bit darker German girl.
Well, she was doing her practical work in India, so I went to visit her. It was in Tamil Nadu, it was in the southern part of India. And it was quite impressive, the amount of people were on the streets. The cows on the street was the first time that I was driving on the left side.
In India, they drive on the left side?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The first time that I
Oh.
was driving on the left side.
Hmm?
And there were so many people. Well, actually, she was driving on the left side. It was in the back. She had a scooter.
Mhm.
It was just like closing my eyes. She said, "Halilo, there's a car. There's a car. There are people. There's coming another car jumping from the forest." But it was like, yeah. Everything takes time. I felt like.
What do you mean? Nothing's on.
Bus ride
Schedule?
of 400 euros. No. Bus ride of 400 kilometers, for example, took us 12 hours. So
Which is,
you take time when you're on the road.
well, 400 kilometers is quite a. Well, no, actually,
12
no.
hours.
Yeah, you shouldn't take that long. Right. Yeah. it's probably half the time, right? You should be able to drive 400 kilometers in 6 hours.
But yeah, so much traffic. So
What was
There-
because of the traffic?
people, do you know how
Oh.
many people are living in India?
Probably 1.5 billion.
Maybe
But it's a big country,
it is.
geographically.
It is, and
Yeah.
there are so many people in. Yeah. So if you have so many people in, you take time.
Would you like to live there?
From this,
No, I take
from
it.
today,
I take it as a no.
thinking
All right,
from
thank you.
today, I'm still speaking. Don't interrupt me, please.
You want to say
From
no?
Today, I cannot imagine to live there.
Hmm.
Maybe in future, we can talk about it.
You would be just a tourist, right? What do you like in the country?
People being together, how they're sharing, for example, how they're trying to teach you stuff. They're
You?
smiling at you.
You?
Huh?
You mean people trying to teach you something?
Yes.
What would they teach you?
For example, I think because she was doing her practical work in the school, I was invited to participate in school activities. For example, I was kind of volunteering there with them,
Hmm?
and we were invited to have a dinner at the teacher's place
Hmm.
and those stuff. So they were welcoming you as well and showing you how to eat with fingers, the rice with fingers.
I'm pretty sure you know how to eat with fingers. Just,
Have you ever tried
I
eating
guess.
rice with fingers like this? And you don't expect
I'm quite
any
confident
fork.
it's possible to do without any prior training.
Yeah.
Just pick it up.
And with some curry inside. It was pretty close to local experiences.
Are there any such things? Local experiences, I mean, because India is sort of world famous of being quite socially stratified, right?
How do you mean?
Well, they have the castes,
Tell me more.
the privileged citizens, the underprivileged citizens, and the untouchables.
What I felt there was like the big gap between the rich people and poor people.
Hmm.
I'm speaking about my perceptions,
Hmm?
like observation, what I had during my trip to India. And you're welcome to complete with more ideas.
What?
No, but this is what you were telling about. I didn't really notice.
So you didn't notice any social difficulties?
I mean, the richer ones are really rich, and the poorer people are really poor.
Yeah.
And this is how they live and how they look like as well. Yes, this is what I noticed.
And so you didn't have a perception that it's sort of injustice.
Yes.
So
I
you
had
felt it as being injustice.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
See?
Hmm.
And what else? Any other thoughts?
But the first time that I tried kind of meditation, there is it was close to Oroville. It was a French colony back then. I don't know from when exactly.
Hmm?
And there, I mean, in India, lots of people go to practice some yoga or meditation. It was my first time that I got closer to meditation issues. And we had the opportunity to enter this huge Mitra Mandir. It was called Mitra Mandir. It was like a huge meditation center.
Hmm.
So we could have like a closer look. They were really strict about how you should go in, dress properly, be clean, take clean socks with you. And yeah, that was my experience with the spiritual stuff of India.
Was it spiritual for you?
Difficult was the first touch to get an idea how it can be. It was difficult.
Do you judge societies in a sort of, I don't know, scale?
What do you mean?
Would you be interested or would you be willing to actually judge societies on a scale, let's say from 1 to 10, 1 being piss poor, and 10 would be just awesome.
Difficult. There's so many factors
Are there?
getting on. Yeah, you will probably do, right? As a lawyer, of course.
No, it doesn't have any relation to be.
Come
to
on,
being
but
a
your
legal advisor.
questions as well. They're kind of why? Why would you? Why
It's-
wouldn't you?
It's simply because to actually see whether or not people I wouldn't say if they are truthful. I haven't encountered anybody who's not judgmental. It's just they have some people are more willing to admit it, and some people are actually willing to be more sort of sensitive to other people's perceptions.
But is judgment scaling judgment?
Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying it as a symbolic way of actually measuring. I'm not saying you should
Okay,
just
this
have
is
a checklist,
different.
but I'm saying if we talk about the symbol of evaluating a country on a scale from 1 to 10, would you be actually able to sort of differentiate on that scale? This country is more towards the 1, towards piss poor, and this country is towards more to the great, awesome. I would.
I would not.
See, that's the diplomat when you're talking.
Have you ever been to India?
Not
Except
even,
of it,
not
internet?
not even close.
Not even close. You can still go
Yeah.
if they were interested.
I like the one. I don't know. I don't remember which TV channel had it, but they had a documentary where they showed that I think it was Mumbai. They didn't have any. They have a very poor sewage system, right? Which means that probably millions of people are going to the beach to take a dump. To the beach, to the streets, just everywhere you could, find for some solitude for a brief moment, and you just squat down and do your deed. And somebody in the YouTube comments just wrote, UN Superpower 2020, right? As in, yeah, even though India has been called a great, developing country, right? Yeah, they have a long way to go. Such a long way to go.
And so many people dealing with it, right?
Well, I think it's more beneficial to have more people. It's about how you use them. I just think they within themselves they don't consider themselves as one nation, one country, one
It's difficult.
one ethnic
Even
society.
they don't have a common. I mean,
They
English
have
has to
probably
be,
30 different.
or even
states.
more.
Yeah. So
Everybody speaking different language, so probably, hopefully, you're gonna find maybe What is going to be the main language, common language
English.
of all of them?
English,
But how many
English.
people of them are really speaking English as well? Another question.
Probably 1 billion, right?
And how big is the population?
Yeah, who cares about the rest? I mean, 1 billion is enough. Let's be honest. I think Pakistanis do speak English. Most Indians do speak English. Chinese, not so much. Russians also, not so much. I don't know about. I think Turkish people are pretty good at English. It's my impression. Because you have quite quite a Western culture. I feel you don't seem like a Arabic country. You feel
It's
more
not
like
an
a
Arabic
European.
country.
What?
Turkey is not an Arabic country.
I thought it was. Wasn't Turkish under the Arabic
Was not an
language
empire.
tree or something like that?
Yeah, before 1923, it's true.
And after that?
But it was like an empire,
Oh,
Ottoman
it was
Empire.
the Ottoman Empire.
big one.
Hmm?
Big one.
I don't know. Maybe it was. Well, what did the Ottoman Empire entail? Probably Iran, Iraq,
I don't-
Syria.
I can't.
Yeah, probably just the
It
whole,
was like
just the whole region. But yeah, nobody. See, before oil, nobody lived there. The Ottoman Empire was just a lot of desert and sheep. Or no, probably some not sheep, but goats, right?
Sheep, both.
Hmm?
Both.
Sheeps as well
Yeah. There are lots of sheep as well, of course.
in the desert.
I don't know. Were there all desert?
I think sheeps wouldn't get very far having all that wool. It's just my guess. But after oil being discovered, yeah, they want to separate.
But I think Turkey's like has an interesting.
They have good Turkish baths. I like Turkish baths.
Come on.
Yeah.
But there's like I think the interesting part of Turkey is that you have on one side you have like the Western culture in like the Occidental part, and you have the Oriental part, and people call Turkey is the gate to the Orient.
What was the first part?
Have you ever heard about this?
Occidental.
Yes,
What's the Occidental?
the Western part.
Why is it called Occidental?
I don't know. I guess because of the sounds what?
Sounds like a tooth doctor. Occidental. I've never heard of the word. Is it a real word?
I guess.
Occidental.
For the reason I said it to you, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have a research about this.
Should Wikipedia it? Occidental. Western world. What?
This Turkish girl
Who says that?
telling you something.
Occident. The Western world is also known as the Occident, from the Latin word occidens, sunset, west.
Hello.
Alright, learned something new today. Occident. It's the contrast to the word Orient. Yeah, makes sense. So, Occident then. Interesting. Yeah, but see, we don't use Orient as the synonym for East, right? We use the word Orient to just describe the Near East, right?
Are you?
Yeah,
Probably.
because we don't call Russians Oriental.
Oh, it's difficult.
We
They're
would call
Occidental too.
probably Turkish people Oriental.
And there's an Occidental part as well.
Yeah.
People would consider Turkey as the gate to the Orient because there is like a clash of the more traditional part, for example, of being Muslims and with more deeper traditions, and on the other side you have the Western or the Occidental ideas, and people actually use this as well. So it's like, I mean, if you go further in the East, Saudi Arabia or whatever, wherever, it's definitely Orient.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
Turkey is not like this.
that region. What do you think of religion, actually? You being a psychotherapist, do you find it silly that people think there are gods?
You don't think, right?
What?
You think it's really silly.
I think it's silly because whether or not there is a god or a higher power, it doesn't really matter, right? You can explain the things you need to explain any way you want. Doesn't affect the things by themselves. The things are the things, right? You attribute some symbolic value, some nostalgic value, some personal value to them. You just sort of attribute them subjectively. So it doesn't really matter whether or not the story is, yeah, there was a dude in the clouds who did that, or just by accident something happened. It doesn't really matter. That's why I think.
Sorts of beliefs and convictions, they might give you power, energy, motivation to get further in some stuff, maybe.
Wouldn't you say that?
Don't get deeper in this topic.
Why? What's the
Because
reason?
already you're
Let me analyze you for a bit. Why do you say that? How does it make you feel?
tough topic.
Really? For you?
No, I think
You seem so open-minded, and now you are
closing.
your shell.
I'm thinking about your sleeping time.
Yeah. Don't make excuses right now.
Suggestion? No.
So really, you feel uncomfortable?
No, I don't feel uncomfortable.
Do you feel something creeping in your?
I'm going to get a panic attack.
Really?
No, of course not.
So does the topic of religion make you uncomfortable or not?
No, it does not.
Oh, so what are your thoughts?
Huh?
What are your thoughts?
This is what I taught you, beliefs and convictions.
So you are choosing a sort of diplomatic answer then. Interesting.
Maybe for some people as well, it's like more getting in society again. For example, people, I guess there are people, they believe in something. There are people who might practice those beliefs as well. And for some people, they are practicing maybe because this is one of the ways to get closer to the society.
Well, it's definitely a social act, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people would go from religious point of view to the church, for example? How many people are going to the church because the others are going, or because of the environment, because of the society, or because of all those social issues?
What are the things you would like to change in a modern society? Do you see some things as being wrong, or
No.
maybe not
in this in terms now related to religion?
No, just in general.
I don't know. I have to think about it.
All right.
Huh?
All right. We have time. You can think.
I cannot give an answer now.
So what do you feel about your?
Yeah, we're getting to emotions.
Yeah.
Lawyers getting to emotions.
About your patients, right? There are probably many times people who are on the street. You wouldn't tell necessarily that they have some issues, right? They're just regular looking people.
Not my business.
Yeah. So do you feel that it's increasing the tension, the problems for people, or decreasing?
Oh, it's difficult to say in general.
What is your overall perception?
I'm focused more until 21 years old, and lots of times I feel like parents are actually those who have problems or issues and bringing their children, kind of projecting the own issues in children, and then trying kind of here it is and repair it and give it back to me, kind of. And unfortunately there are lots of them, but there's the job to make them clear, to understand that the children has no issue. You mean what I'm? Is
there something you could actually solve for the patient by not talking to him, but actually talking to his parents, for instance?
Yeah, for example, as well. Yes.
And if their parents are not cooperating, then you're not.
This is my point of view. As someone is
right?
coming, for example, to psychotherapy. Well, I have. The psychotherapy is based on treatment, right? But psychology, for example, as a clinical psychologist, I do diagnosis, or I do explorations and trying to get what kind of issues they might have and if there is a diagnosis or not. And in this case, for example, if I see this person and I have no issue to treat, so what am I going to do with the patient? So from my point of view, people come, for example, parents come and say, I have this issue with my child, telling me some stuff, and then I get closer, I explore more with the child or whatever, and then have get the idea that there is no issue we have to treat in a psychotherapy.
For the child?
Yeah.
But maybe for the parent?
Exactly.
Ah. How much do you charge?
The public insurance is paying for psychotherapy sessions 90 euros. 58 minutes.
For 15 minutes,
50.
50 minutes,
50. 90 euros.
90 euros. Is it a good wage?
It's okay. I mean, there are a couple of stuff as well I am always doing in addition, for example, letters or medical reports and all those stuff, and they're
What do you mean with letters?
medical reports. Yeah, there are other paper stuff I have to. They are related to psychotherapy as well. I have to submit as well. I have to prepare all those. And
Oh, you
this
mean
is our
for a patient you have to have some
formula
documents?
and all those stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
for the psychotherapy, all those. So these are getting paid as well.
Mm-hmm. Why did you quit?
I was working in psychology, and I decided to quit because I finished my formation. I was working part-time as psychologist, and I was doing my formation as psychotherapist in part-time, and then I
What does
finished
that mean? You mean you were
Psychotherapy?
transitioning?
formation.
Formation as in what?
My another.
You became a butterfly,
specialization.
but before that you were a cocoon.
Kind of.
Alright.
Yeah. No, it's like because I told you as psychologist you have the option to have to get another formation in psychotherapy, so you can do treatment by itself.
And that you did.
Yes,
Yeah.
I finished, but it's not studies. There are no studies of. I go to university. What all? My studies were in psychology, so with my masters. So I was working my field as psychologist, and on top I decided to do another specialization of psychotherapy to have the license to treat
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I knew that I would have my exams in March and April. And
How are the exams?
how they were.
Yeah, well, I mean, what do they
Brilliant.
do in an exam? Did it just ask you questions, written
Both
questions?
sides. You have written exam and oral exam.
And what's the oral exam?
The oral exam, I have 4 examinators,
Alright.
and they're putting me different issues, lots of problem solution, situation solution. Imagine you have like this situation with someone, whatever. How would you react? And they're gonna. I think that it was like more focused on how would you react as a psychotherapist in difficult situations.
So it's not really, this is the right answer, this is the wrong answer, right?
No.
Huh.
But they, for example, they can make you fail as well if they have the feeling that you're not in person. There are no skills yet, enough skills for personal.
How would they know?
I mean, it's like written exam, yes, more about techniques, yes, and the oral one is how I would react in difficult situations as a psychotherapist, and if they feel like no,
It's not really objective, is it? At least it doesn't sound like
I
it.
mean, there are hard topics in psychotherapy you have to handle as a psychotherapist. If you want to call yourself as a psychotherapist,
Hard topics?
yeah, for example, suicide.
What's hard about it?
If someone comes to you, for example, and so you have to know how to behave in different situation. For example, in suicide,
So somebody comes, says he wants to do suicide, right? That's the...
it's not about the content. It's about my behavior as a psychotherapist. For example, what should I do, and what are what is the crisis intervention, and when do I call police? What are the they're actually
So,
there might be behaviors that are wrong as a psychotherapist.
I mean, there is a possible scenario where someone comes to the office of a psychotherapist, says, I would like to die.
Or as
And
well,
then-
like
and then the
judging
and
patients.
then the psychotherapist should hold it, call the police or something like that.
No, it's not that easy. No, but judging, for example, judging patients. How are you going to judge patients?
Everybody judges. Everybody judges.
Like by my way of being with patients. But it's difficult
Well,
to fail this examen.
It's difficult to fail.
Oral one, yes. The written one is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's easy to fail the written examen, but the oral examen is hard to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Then I come back to the topic of quitting job.
Yeah.
And then I decided to have a cut and applied for Doctors Without Borders. Do you know this association?
I think I've heard it
Les
on
Médecins
some
Sans
TV
Frontières.
film.
Yeah. They're going on missions worldwide to work in crisis intervention, and I applied as a mental health officer.
You know what I feel like?
Tell me.
It's just a fetish for people to seek out sort of unusual circumstances. There are people in the world who like these type of things. I think I think you like weird people.
Yeah, for that reason I'm a psychologist.
I guess so.
I like challenging situations with people.
Well, would you say that the doctors with I wanted to say doctors with benefits.
Without borders?
Yeah, without borders. Would you say that they are actually, in a way, helping in solving crises or perpetuating them? Because the reason why I ask,
Yes.
there's a concept in a sort of Western society, at least, right? That donating, for instance, is something charitable, something good. Why? Because you give someone in need something they need. But there's a counter argument to that. If you give something to somebody sort of all the time, right? What would be the incentive for that person to actually elevate from their poor situation and have some means of actually getting the things themselves? There shouldn't be any motivation. That's not really natural. If you, as a parent, for instance, give me money and I can do whatever I want, why would I need to change anything, right? So I'm not saying that everybody in Africa is responsible for their own circumstances, but I remember there was a joke, sort of a joke, a comic made once, that I know how to solve the world hunger crisis. See, I went to Africa. I saw they went with the trucks full of food to the people in the desert and brought them food. I know how to solve this whole mess. Don't bring them food. Get them in the trucks and move them out of the places and move them to the place where the food is. Right? So this was the whole joke about it, but the basic point was, if you are in a situation that is not really sustainable, you as a person, you wouldn't be interested in being there, right? So if I come to you as a charitable person, I would be more interested in giving you the means of actually getting out of that situation, right? And so if I, let's say, would volunteer in what was it, Red Cross, who went in humanitarian situations, I think, yeah. So they don't choose where they go, right? It's sort of like something happened, and so they respond to it, right? But on the other hand, there are charitable organizations who actually plan in advance where will they go, right? So it's more like, well, how come you are able to actually plan where something bad is? Why wouldn't you just sort of look at it this way, that there's a problem, and actually try to eliminate the cause of the problem? So what I'm getting at is, what do you feel like is the mission for you there? To actually allow some miserable circumstances to perpetuate, or to actually eliminate some causes of
I think there may
problems?
be a middle pathway. In this case, for example, what Médecins Sans Frontières is doing, getting more focused on, is me as a mental health officer, I wouldn't work directly with communication. I would with the community. I would work with the local helpers, and I would educate the local helpers in psychological issues and
So you would
help
be an
them
instructor.
exactly and help them how to deal with the community. What do you say about this?
What would be the point in doing so?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they are already doing their work, right? It's not like they could.
I'm going to
could-
be the supervisor, so I can enrich them. Isn't it cool?
I don't know. So what are the people then? Who are the people?
The local helpers?
Yeah, no. Who are the locals? What is their situation?
Different.
Well, do you know where you will be going?
No.
Ah. Do you know a place where could be possible?
Neither.
No.
Is there worldwide? So, by my process, no. Well, I mean, I have like I got into the mental health pool. So, MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, knows that I'm existing, and according to my, they have different projects, and according to my profile, I can be offered a project. They're gonna offer me a project and ask me and tell me, hey, this is what this kind of project fits your profile. Do you want to go there? And then, of course, I will have an introduction on deeper conversation with someone who might have been working there or is still there. And then afterwards, I can decide if I go to that community with this topic.
So you pick and choose.
Both sides, yes. They're picking, choosing, and I'm picking, choosing.
That's sort of, I don't know, unromantic.
It doesn't have to be romantic.
No, because it sounded at first romantic, right? You said, "Oh, I want to participate in the Doctors Without Borders," right? It sounds so almost heroic, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, if yeah, it depends on. I will see. I had no projects now. I told them that I'm going to be available after June, and I'm happy to receive any projects. I don't know what they are going to be about, and how I will feel towards the projects as well. I'm thinking about my safety as well, so it's we're gonna see. I mean, there might.
What is the risk to safety? Is there any?
I don't know. There might be security ideas I have, but I don't know if they're reasonable or not. We will see.
Do you know somebody who already did some projects?
I've met a girl actually in a cafe. She had a bag from Médecins Sans Frontières, and I asked her, "Hey, are you up to it? Are you participating?" She said yes, and she explained to me a little bit how it does work, and it was pretty interesting. She has been sent a couple of times to Africa. No, she really liked it. But for example, mental health, you have lots of issues in Iraq, Afghanistan. And this is, I'm not closer to those countries. I've heard, we have all heard, I think, about what was going on there, what is still going on there, war and whatever.
Probably nothing.
Man-made stuff. I don't know exactly, probably nothing, I don't know. But I'm like, I will see how I feel. Of course, I would read the job description about this as well.
They even have a job description?
Yes. Because I have to know.
So damn, now it's totally unromantic.
I'm going to be hired, so I am going to be hired.
Wait a second, is that a paid job?
It is.
Oh.
Job.
I somehow thought that's totally
Voluntary?
voluntary work. Oh damn. You sold out.
Why?
Sold out. You should have done some voluntary work.
Why?
I don't know. Would be more courageous, right?
I've done this a couple of years, so.
What do you mean?
Voluntary job?
You did?
Yes.
What kind of?
In Peru, 2 years.
What did you do there? Farm some potatoes. Just
no,
my guess.
I worked in mental health.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that you can go to third world countries where they don't even have running water,
How
and
do you know?
because it's Peru, they probably don't have
Never been
80% of the country that probably doesn't have running water. I would guess. I think they get their water from wells. I honestly think so. In the cities, yes, in the urbanized, but they still have rural.
You know how many people live in Peru?
I guess would be probably to 20 million.
Do you know how many people live in the capital?
Not at all. Not at all. But there's a big difference between capital and city dwellers and rural farmers and rural people.
No?
Big difference.
There are, yes, of course. for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reason
that's what I
I'm
mean. I
telling you.
mean, it's not like everybody is living in one city or just a few cities.
Peru had 30 million inhabitants and 10
Alright.
million are living in Lima.
Hmm?
10 million are living
And
in
so,
Lima.
what do the 20 million do who are not living there?
In other cities, a couple of them rural cities, rural places.
Hmm. So, what you're saying is that they have running water?
Yes,
Alright,
88% had running water.
alright.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll take it.
continue.
I'll take it.
Sorry.
And still, what is the mental health problem to solve there?
Sexual violence? No, it's not solving. It's like helping an addict. Well, it was a little bit more explaining them what the rights are about, and offering them, women and children, a space to come to and to speak about issues, psychological issues.
So they talk, and then so something comes next.
We can see what happens.
Because if you speak about sexual violence, just my guess, wouldn't the real proper response would be to face violence with violence?
You can
Let's
try.
say a woman was harassed or something like that, right? She should just be able to sort of inflict damage on the person, right? Even, I mean, maybe not with their bare hands, but she can use a pepper spray or something like that. You know what I mean?
This is an idea.
But it's not something that you are organizing. You don't hand out pepper sprays, right?
Right.
But is there somebody who does?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. I think we milked the psycho therapist theme. Any thoughts
We've
about?
been in different topics.
Yeah. Any thoughts about America?
What America is so big?
Well,
Northern Park,
you-
Central Park, Southern Park.
you as a psychotherapist, for
Yeah.
instance, you look at American society where I think 40% are on drugs,
Northern Americans?
prescription drugs. Yeah,
Southern
Northern
American?
Americans. I mean, USA.
Ah, okay.
USA,
So
yeah.
maybe.
So, you as a psychotherapist, you look at a country where I think 40% are on psychoactive substances, whether legal or illegal. I mean, they have prescription drug crisis
Maybe.
in many places, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. And would you say that you see some difficulties in the long term with that?
Of course.
But you don't have any.
But you know, actually, the guy was. I just told you that I was recently talking with someone about nutrition, right?
Hmm?
And he's actually from USA.
Hmm?
And he was telling me some issues about about pills.
Hmm?
And it was like lack of education in nutrition in America.
He was saying that lack of nutrition causes people to use unnecessary pills.
Diseases, any kind of difficulties in their lives, for example. It might be diseases or whatever.
Hmm?
Business, I understood from all through. Summary maybe might be it was a business in America. not to talk about nutrition.
The point was
I lost the point.
he was talking about people not being
We're
educated.
talking about nutrition. How
on
important
nutrition.
is it, the education about nutrition?
Yeah, and you feel the same.
Yes, of course. I mean, to have a closer look at it, of course.
You mean as a psychotherapist?
In general, I mean, as a doctor as well. The doctor, I think, the point was the doctor in USA, they wouldn't ask you about the nutrition. They don't want you to change.
Which
about the
doctor
nutrition.
would? I think no doctor really asks those questions.
No?
I mean, why would you?
Why wouldn't you?
I would.
I would too.
Yeah, but I'm not a doctor. So are you?
But doctors, they would as well. I guess. I hope so. I'm optimistic.
No.
No?
Because they don't get any nutritional training.
Maybe this.
That's as far as I can tell. That the problem is caused many times of uneducated medical personnel who don't really look into the causes of, let's say, dietary habits, but they just sort of apply the principle: a pill for every ill.
Business.
Yeah.
Sleeping time. Wow. It's been 2 hours.
That's why I'm really wondering how come you are not getting into the business of selling pills. It would be so convenient
For what?
for you.
In
You could help.
terms of?
You could help the same people. Just
On
make
short term, yes.
instead of 90 euros per hour, you probably make 500 euros.
Good for those.
You think that's bad that somebody's making money from selling pills? Immoral?
Pharma industry.
Hmm?
Pharma industry.
You don't think they should be as big as they are?
Hmm?
You don't think they should be as big as they are?
No, does mean no.
Yes or no?
No, it does mean no. It's no. The
So-
Turkish. You don't know this?
No.
No.
What does it?
No, it does mean no.
Really?
Really?
Are you kidding right now?
No, I'm not.
Are you saying that Turkish people, when they say no, they don't even speak, they just...
Sometimes, if a Turkish person tells you, you're gonna understand. It
That's
does
so
mean
funny.
no. Yes.
That's so funny. But you cannot write that, right? You don't write that sound. So no, you said no.
Yes, I said no.
Yeah, you don't write that sound.
I did.
All right. I get it. No, I do get it. Don't make...
No, I'm practicing.
Anyway, so your thoughts about America are pretty straightforward. They are ignorant people.
I didn't say this. I have to
That's
pee.
that's
sorry.
what I sort of got. I got the vibe.
I have to pee. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean we can wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
No,
Really?
I'm busy with my peeing stuff.
Right here, right now.
No,
So where do you go next? To
Berlin.
Berlin.
Yeah.
And then when?
And then I'm gonna have some appointments in conference we had at the
And-
beginning 2 hours ago.
And when do you go to the Africa stuff?
I don't know if I'm going to Africa or anywhere it can be. And I don't know. It depends on the projects. And right now I have no project. What is it? 28th, right?
Hmm.
Maybe in next week I have a project and I go in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Hmm.
But next week I'm gonna go for my appointments for the conference, and then my nephew just turned 1 year yesterday. Gonna go to meet my family,
Hmm.
and afterwards I don't know if I have the feeling I can go out again, so I go again somewhere. With the option within Europe, I guess. So I have the option to go back fast to Berlin anytime I need to.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is my idea.
All right. Sounds convincing. Anyway, thank you. We
Pleasure.
can finish.
Almost